So today I'm going to do an extended tarot reading based on what I talked about in my last video, which was all about executive functioning and emotional regulation with ADHD. And you're welcome to go check out that video if you'd like. I'll put the link to that one in the description below. However, this is going to be a standalone episode, just a tarot reading to get a little more insight into this topic for us. So hope you stick around. All right. So, hi and welcome to Unmasked and Becoming. My name is Eliza. I am a trauma-informed certified ADHD life coach, and I work at the intersection of evidence-informed coaching and intuitive practice because I believe that when we are able to access our deepest inner knowing and integrate it with evidence-based research available to us, we can truly become empowered advocates of our own healing and the healing of the planet. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Let's get into our tarot reading. Okay, so just to start things off, I want to set the stage and just I'm gonna light a little candle here. How are you all doing this evening? I hope well. Just so happy that you guys are hopefully unwinding with me. And if not, if you're doing chores around the house or whatever you like to do when you're listening to YouTube, I'm just happy to be along the ride with you. So awesome. And why not just a little bit of incense too? I've got some, what do I have here? I've got meditation incense. Cool. All right, let's check this out. I don't know about you all, but having like aroma therapy and essential oils, incense, that kind of thing, as long as it's like not overwhelming, because I am kind of sensitive and sometimes some of these things can give you headaches, but finding the right scent can actually really, it feels like it can kind of ground us depending on the smell. Sometimes it can like kind of, I don't know, some scents aren't as grounding as others, but I find that just bringing some nice incense into the room can just waken up my senses and help me to feel more present. So I wish you could smell this here with me. It smells really good. Very earthy. For me, earthy stuff definitely feels grounding. So yeah, I'd be curious what do you all enjoy? What helps you get present? Yeah, drop that in the comments. I'd love to hear. And it can help other people too, like sharing what works for us. Not that we expect other people, what works for other people to work for us, but sometimes it does. And it's kind of nice to hear. So sharing ideas is awesome. All right. So I managed to get a bunch of incense all over my desk, but whatever. All right. So here we go. I am working with this very cool deck. It's the Tarot des Saint Crew by Lisa de Saint Crew. And let's see. And I know her artwork is inspired by New Mexican artistry as well as I believe it's South African, I know, but I'm not sure exactly what part, but I do love her imagery. It's really cool. So I'm going to use her cards are very similar to the Follow the Rider Waite tradition. And then I'll probably pull some other maybe oracle cards to help us in tapping into our intuition this evening. I don't know if it's evening here. I don't know where for you it might be day or morning, perhaps. So whatever it is for you. All right. So I'm just tapping in, and we talked about executive functioning and emotional regulation in my last episode. And for those of you who might have just been tuning into this, our executive functioning is kind of, I likened it to the conductor of an orchestra who is managing all these various parts of the musical instruments, and with the brass instruments and the strung instruments and the uh, you know, I'm lost for words. Strung, and I want to say the drums and that kind of thing. They keep the tempo and all this. Anyway, so just think of all these various parts of the orchestra as like our different parts of our executive functioning. So we've got our ability to change tasks, our ability to stay focused, our ability to keep things in our memory, short-term memory, our ability to emotionally regulate ourselves, our ability to be able to perceive time accurately and control our inhibition, our ability to control ourselves from just bursting out and saying something that we end up regretting, that kind of stuff. All of those things are regulated by our executive function. And for people with ADHD, our brain, literally our neurochemistry of our brains just doesn't work the same as people without ADHD. So it's not that we don't know what we're supposed to do or how we're supposed to do it technically. We just don't have we don't have access to the parts of our brains that know how to regulate these things and coordinate them. So it can be incredibly frustrating. And a lot of people, especially those of us who were late diagnosed, were encouraged to do things like I was, which was to fake it till you make it. And I've talked about that as a mask and how that really kind of complicated things, got in my way, and actually ended up leading to a lot of shame because I never actually felt like I made it. It was always just faking it and burning myself out. So that was really challenging. And then emotional regulation, which I think I just mentioned, is also part of our executive function. And our ability to regulate our emotions is incredibly important to being able to stay grounded enough to use the rest of our executive functioning. So if one's not working, the other one's not working. It's like it's the seesaw. It's really challenging to get everything to function if one's out of balance. So I want to tap in to those of us that are, if you're brought here today and you felt called to this, then I'm guessing you likely have struggled with some of this stuff. And so I want to just tap into what our intuition wants to help us understand and possibly move us into to support us around these challenges today. So just letting yourself, if you're listening to this, doing something else, that's totally cool. Or if you're just relaxing, whatever, just asking yourself, to just be open to getting a message to support you in this area. Okay, so let's see what comes out here. Okay, so we have the Queen of Cups. Okay, so this is nurturing those emotions. Just as you see her, she is collecting this water from this very rushing, she's sitting in a very rushing waterfall here, it looks like. And she's not fazed by it. These emotions are rushing through, and she is just staying steady and calm and collecting a little bit for her cup. And you can see these green, lush plants behind her. It's like, when we are able to allow our emotions to flow, not push them down, but really become aware of them, find space for them to be expressed and take care of them, things can flow. We can feel connected. So, and a lot of times life is not, this, I think of waterfall that's rushing like this. It's a bit chaotic, and life can be very chaotic and doesn't always provide us the space or the time that, we normally think of when we think about being able to express our emotions fully and feel them. It's not always easy. We have to find ways to create space for that for ourselves. And that requires us to be really aware and conscious. And that takes time. It's not always easy to be aware. I mean, a lot of us have had to find ways, masks or coping to just get through the day. And a lot of times getting through the day means not either we, push down our emotions when, like at work or something. And then we explode at home when we finally have space to, you know, not that we want to blurt out. We don't want to lash out at the people we love, right? But, if we did that at work, we'd probably lose our job. So it's like finding space in between these things to actually do this and support ourselves so we're not hurting our relationships, losing our jobs, these kind of things. It can be really challenging. It can. That's why taking stock of this stuff and really being mindful and noticing when we've maybe had an outburst, something maybe didn't go well, just, it can be easy to just feel so bad about it. We can hardly even think about it anymore. But if we really allow ourselves to kind of think about what are the things that trigger us, what could we do to preemptively prepare ourselves so we can feel more supported the next time something like that comes up, right? So that's kind of what that says to me. And then we've got the strength card in reverse. And the strength card is, we've got this feminine figure. Oops, sorry. This feminine figure here. Sorry, YouTube censorship there with the lion. And there is this ability to tame this lion. And the lion, for me, represents our inner thoughts, our mind, and being able to, we're not going to be able to stop our thoughts. It's not possible. Okay. We can't beat ourselves up for not being able to stop our thoughts. However, we can decide which ones we're going to allow to push us around, right? We can develop that internal voice that says, nope. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear that you're feeling really upset right now. I hear that you're feeling really down on yourself. And there's this new story about myself that I want to tell you. Hey, we're growing. We don't need to succumb to that pain that you felt so much growing up. And we are bigger than that. Okay. I hear that you're hurt. I hear that you want to blurt out and maybe, say some hurtful words back. But guess what? We have a choice. And we can take a deep breath and we don't have to listen to those thoughts. So it was in reverse. So I think that this is a good reminder that, sometimes our thoughts can be overwhelming and it's understandable, right? It's, for a lot of us, we've had dealt with a lot of negative feedback or criticism or just not feeling like we're meeting the bar, hitting that bar. And there can be a lot of critical thoughts that have built up around that. So it might be a sign that there's some narrative, a new narrative that needs to come in, that adult self that really knows the truth, that can talk back to those thoughts and hold its ground. And then we also have the King of Wands reversed as well. So the King of Wands is really that mature energy around passion and engaging in the world and acting proactively in doing things out in the world. And there's a lot of, this inner wisdom, inner guidance that wants to be heard in all of us. And it can get drowned out by those negative thoughts a lot of time. And yet there is this inner wisdom that is just waiting for us to step up and say, yes, I can change the narrative. I can create a new story for myself. And it does. It's one that is we don't conquer our thoughts in one day. We have to do it every single day. It's a practice. It's a practice. And we don't beat ourselves up just because we didn't do a great job at it one day. It's just we get back up and we do it again. We have compassion for ourselves. And Yeah, there's some very interesting symbology here. We've got a pyramid with the eye here, the all-knowing eye. We've got a star out here, it looks like. We've got, I don't remember the name of some of these symbols. This is the staff with the two snakes, right? Which I believe is, we also often see that when we see the medicine, the prescription medicine. It's kind of one of those symbols of healing and health. And this is another interesting symbol here, which I'm not familiar with either. And it's almost like they're just spinning this on their finger. It's like an interesting shape, the kind of helix shape. So it's like our destiny here. I sense some destiny. I sense passion and inner wisdom in this card. Barefoot, grounded to the earth. Powerful. So it was in reverse. So we might feel a little disconnected from our power. How might you be feeling? What could be, where might you be giving your power away? Could it be to those thoughts that are kind of getting the best of you? Are you believing in those thoughts? Is there a story that you'd rather believe? Because you can create that. It is absolutely possible, and you get to make that choice for yourself. We are our own narrators of our own stories, and the past is the past. It is experience. We have experienced those things in the past, but that doesn't mean it has to dictate how we are moving forward in our lives. So let's see what comes up. I'm gonna actually grab some cards from the Psychic Tarot for the Heart. It's an oracle deck by John Holland. I'll put the names of the decks in the description as well, just so you can reference those later if you are interested. All right, let's see what else wants to come through. So just asking our intuition and our higher selves support us as we're looking at getting a little more clarity around this reading, to support us as we ask this really important question of how might we better support ourselves when it comes to things like planning, time management, right? Our executive functioning, staying focused on things, starting new projects, managing our emotions. What is going to be supportive for us as we move forward here? Okay. Ooh, yes. Let's see. All right. So we have got number 7. Choose your battles. Choose your battles. This is where are we giving away our power, right? What is the most important thing to us? We've got a choice here. There's something that we are being asked to look at, to let go of things that maybe are petty, possibly, things that may be distracting us, things that are pulling us away from a real purpose, a real sense of self. What is distracting you from what you really, really want to be doing? What dramas or things might be going on around you that you could actually walk away from? And if you just take a moment to yourself to really reflect, is there anything like that in your life? We're being called to reflect on that and to rebuild. Number 16. And this almost looks like there's these feathers that almost look like angel wings. And there's almost a feeling of the tower here. Do you see that? This person's dress or robe is kind of being hit by lightning, but it almost looks like it's not made out of fabric. It's actually made out of almost building blocks, these triangles that are put together. And they're holding very close this light to their chest, and there's a sun here. Again, it's kind of that something is coming to an end. Something is closing, and we're figuring out what is really the most important thing. What is the true source of our inner strength? What is really fueling us that we really need to protect? Sometimes we can get so lost in negative thoughts or ideas about ourselves that we actually beat up the most crucial parts of ourselves, and then they are not able to be there for us. We're not able to access the resources that we have because we've been beating ourselves up so much, or we've been taking crap from other people that we shouldn't be taking because because we're exhausted, right? We've been exhausted, and we sometimes it's just easier to put up with stuff than to really fight back. And sometimes we have to make a choice to be able to figure out how to move on in a new way that's actually going to help us protect what's most important to us. It's a powerful card, very powerful. And yet there's no fear here. I see a very clear, determined person here who's got the backing of these feathers, almost like their guardian angel. It's like the truth is that they know they're divinely protected in some way. So what's the most important thing to you above all else that you're protecting and you want to preserve? And what is it that needs to be let go so you can move on and rebuild? Yeah, this card is rebuild. So interesting. And look at this. Can't make this up. Number 4, opportunity beckons. So when we let go of what's not working for us, new opportunities are waiting for us. And there's an infinity symbol here on this large ball. It almost looks like a planet. And there's this kind of moon, looks like a moon and stars out there. And this figure is looking down, it looks like. They're kind of coming from a higher perspective and looking down. They're able to see things in a new way, see new opportunities that maybe they wouldn't have seen before. So when you change your mindset, oftentimes things look different. You're able to see opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. So this is just a reminder, keep your eyes open, get a different perspective on things, possibly. Maybe a different mindset would help. Take a little break from the normal and get out of your head a little bit and look out the world, look at your life in a different way somehow. What helps you get perspective on things? What kind of things do you do that support you in this? Let me know. I'd love to hear. Yeah. Okay. And then let's see. I also have something called the PRISM Oracle. It's kind of a cool card. Tap into your intuition with the magic of color. It's kind of fun. All right. So let's see. Let's just see what wants to pop up here. Any more messages about this? Calling on our intuition, just asking for divine, higher self wisdom, knowledge for each of us. What makes sense for us? And of course, if how I'm reading these cards doesn't fit for you, please fill in things that don't with what works for you, or let go of anything that doesn't fit for somebody else who needs to hear it. Okay. All right. We've got caution, taking caution. It's yellow, like a construction sign, caution, caution. All right. Do we need to take a moment before we proceed? Maybe think things through, like I mentioned, a different mindset possibly. Maybe, look into something a little bit more thoroughly before we jump on it. That impulse control, right? That's an executive function skill that can be hard to exercise, especially when we're emotionally dysregulated. So not making decisions when we're angry, tired, hungry. When we're in a bad mood, like better not to make a decision. We can tell people, hey, let me think on it. We don't have to give people answers right away. We can buy ourselves a little time. Take that moment, use a little caution, right? And growth, right? We're growing. The growth happens as we learn to trust ourselves, set boundaries for ourselves, seeds that we've planted and intentions we've had for ourselves that maybe we've forgotten or we've, just, put to the wayside because things just didn't feel like it was moving forward. We sometimes things will pop up. Those opportunities will pop up when we least expect them, but we have to give ourselves a chance. If we just impulsively act on something when we're feeling really angry, while it's understandable, it's going to often, it's not going to necessarily give us as much choice as we would if we were able to recognize, hey, I'm feeling angry right now. No judgment. I'm feeling angry. I don't make decisions when I'm feeling angry. I'm going to set a limit there. I need to think about this before I decide. Right? I'm going to take 10 minutes to walk around the block, whatever it is. Okay. That leads to growth. It does. It does lead to growth. It's important. So important. All right. What else? Frustration. Trying to fit that square peg in a hole. It just doesn't fit. We can try and try and try, but if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Those tools that we were taught by other people who didn't struggle with executive function issues, like it's not our fault that those things don't fit for us. We don't have to keep trying to use them because that's what everyone else does. No, that is going to make us very frustrated, for sure. Just finding what really does, finding what works for us. Work with our brain. The more we understand about our brains, the more we can find ways to work with them, right? So be gentle with yourself. If there's something that isn't working, maybe step back from it, right? Maybe there's a reason why it's not working. Maybe there's a better alternative. Okay. And finally, just one last message here. I'm going to pull just a little divine feminine wisdom card from this Buddha wisdom, the heart of Kuan Yin by Sofan Chan. And let's just see some final messages here. And I like, figuring out those square pegs, trying to fit those square pegs in the hole. Man, I have been there. I've been there. And it can be hard, right? We look around and everyone else seems to be doing things a certain way. We just assume, well, why isn't it working for us? And it'd be easy to beat ourselves up. But no, it's really important to figure out our unique lives and our unique brains too. And what is it that is working for us? Because ADHD is not the same for everyone. It's very complex. And what works for one person isn't going to necessarily work for the other, even if they both have ADHD. That's just how that works. So that's why having a coach or someone to support you in really doing those kind of deep dive explorations of understanding what does and doesn't work for us can be really helpful. So, if you do feel like you're somebody who could benefit from some coaching, I do offer ADHD coaching. So please feel free to check out my website if you'd like at elizalifecoach.com, and I'll put the link to that in the description below. And it's possible that having someone to support you and looking at what it is for you can make all the difference. And if it's not me, find a coach in your area. Somebody, I work online, but if you want to see somebody in person, I know there's plenty of coaches that do that as well. Or if you are currently seeing a therapist or someone to work this stuff out, or even a friend, sometimes having a friend or a buddy or person who can do bubble body doubling with you, right? Body doubling, meeting up with somebody who's either working on a similar project or just working in the same room. That co-regulation, having somebody there can help us focus on our own selves. And sometimes just having, we can even, for me, I'm a verbal processor. So talking things out loud is really helpful. So having a friend or somebody who's willing just to listen to me talk about what it is not working and what other things could be working better, whatever it is that would work for you. I think that's so important that we feel that inner authority of what really does work for us, and being able to um, feel supported to be able to follow that. It's so important. So let's just get a last message here. All right. Learn not to doubt so you can understand the peaceful calm of enlightenment. Yeah, let's not doubt ourselves. We've been taught to doubt ourselves. We've been taught that we're not able to do what everyone else does and there's something wrong with that. It's not true. It's not true. There's such a divine inner wisdom in us, that it's such the truth, our inner truth, that inner intuition, right? It's got so much to show us. We just have to stop doubting that part so that we can really hear what we need in order to be given a chance. There's a part of us that knows it needs to be given a chance. And sometimes that's the thing that we haven't been given. So learn to stop doubting yourself. Give yourself that chance to really listen inside of what's going on, and having that support from whoever it is that is going to help you to be able to feel confident enough to be able to move forward with it as well. So important. So I hope that this was helpful today. I hope that these messages landed for you. I'd be really curious to hear, what came up for you in this. If you want to share in the comments, and if you did like this reading, please let me know. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help me to know if this is reaching you in a way that feels good and want me to continue making this kind of content. I'd love to be able to keep providing what's supportive for you all. So I'm, totally open to recommendations. If you have any interests or specific ideas that you'd like me to focus on, please let me know. All right. So until next time, please be good to yourselves and take care of yourselves and each other, and just sending you lots of love. All right. Bye for now.